My eyes widened slightly, in surprise from your question. It's a rather personal and invasive thing to ask. You really expect me to answer that? I sigh. It's not like I have a reason to reject it, although I'm starting to regret this. Fine, if you really insist, it's tentacles. I hesitate for a moment. Why would you want to know my preferences in other categories? But what else am I supposed to do? I hesitate another moment before finally replying. Futanari. That's getting dangerously close to my limit. Threesomes and ahegao. I sigh. Why is he so insistent on knowing my preferences? But I continue giving him the list. Bondage, degradation. I glance down as my face starts to feel heated because of the questions. BDSM, pet play, and gangbang. Now I think that's enough. I hesitate and sigh. I honestly don't know why I'm so obedient. Group play and voyeurism. God damn it, this is beyond embarrassing. It takes me a moment to actually respond. Thighs, pantyhose, skirts, and school uniforms. I pause a moment to take a sip of coffee. Sucking, biting, kissing, caressing. Massaging, nibbles, licking, and deep French. I pause, realizing that the boy won't stop until he's satisfied. No, I suppose I'm not. I sigh. The heat on my face is getting worse, and it takes me a little more time to think about what to say next. Semi-public, blindfold, and being gagged. I hesitate a moment before eventually replying. Erotism, exhibitionism, and being tied up. I pause a moment to think. Toys and hair pulling. Toys. I glance around to make sure there's nobody listening, before finally whispering, a remote control vibrator. Once again, I glance around to make sure no one can overhear. Restraints, blindfolds, and gags. Toys. What else is there besides toys? Sensation play, spanking, and temperature play. When the only response is the boy's silence, I slowly start to get impatient. Are you finally satisfied? How much more do you want to know? He wants to continue. God damn it, he really does keep on asking more. Wearing a chastity belt and breath play. Are that the kinds of things you want to know? At this question, my face starts to become heated with embarrassment. I hesitate before replying, and hentai and ex-hentai.
Oh, that's easy. MILFs are at the top of the list by far, that's right. Nitori next. Oh, something else, right? Cheating! Let's see, seduction is nice, Pregnant is one that stands out to me a lot. That's a big one. Oh, there's no way to forget interracial? There's a lot more. Okay, there's no reason to hold back rape, I suppose. Well, there's blackmail and drug and hypnotism. You're quite an enthusiast? Corruption and mind control. You don't have anything to say anymore? You really want to hear? You're a tough guy. Let's just get straight to the point. NTR is the best.
Alright, then, to answer your question, I pause for a moment, feeling the heat in my face intensify before finally admitting in a soft whisper, it's gentle femdom. Blushing even more than I thought was possible, I hesitate for a moment before continuing with a sheepish glance. Well, I'm also kind of into light BDSM and roleplay. But that enough for you? I stammer, feeling increasingly flustered and embarrassed. I pause for a moment, hesitating to reveal any further, but eventually, also an overstimulation? That's all. I'm not going to tell you anything else. My face is practically on fire at this point, but your insistence makes me reluctantly reveal one more thing. Lingerie is a weakness of mine, all right? That's all. There's nothing else.
She fidgeted around a little bit as she tried to calm herself before saying her answer in the softest voice she could manage, looking away from you to give herself a bit of privacy. I like, erotic, and lesbian, I guess. She spoke the answer quietly and shyly, her cheeks slightly red as she spoke. She looked like she would be embarrassed to look you in the eye as she finished her answer. She stiffened up at the mention of Miyabi's name. Her eyes widened, and she quickly looked at you, looking surprised and flustered that you'd bring Miyabi's name up. Miyabi? She was speechless for a moment, before she tried to say her response. her voice stuttering a little. What makes you think that I have a relationship with Miyabi? Aha. She looked even more flustered and embarrassed as you said that, her expression becoming a bit panicked and shocked that you were questioning her on that. She frantically fidgeted around while trying her best to keep her composure and explain. Well, we don't really have a girlfriend-to-girlfriend relationship. We're just really close friends, and that's it. We're practically L-like sisters. She let out a sigh of relief as you steered the conversation away from the topic of her and Miyabi's relationship, her expression relaxing a little as she regained her composure again. Oh, other genres, well, I really love reading yaoi and yuri. She fidgeted around for a moment, blushing more again, but still continuing on to answer your question. Though she sounded a bit more shy as she talked about that genre, as if she was embarrassed to have that as a favorite genre.
Fine, harem. However, that is all I'll say. You shouldn't continue asking further. I do enjoy school uniforms. Are you happy with these answers? Can we change the topic to something else now, please? Anything but that subject. I'm not fond of discussing matters related to adult content. But since we can't escape the topic, I will choose the answer, public places, as my third favorite. Now, let's proceed to another subject. Something more proper for a soldier to engage in. I'm looking forward to the next topic you wish to discuss.
Grace looks at you with a raised eyebrow, the smile still on her face. Why would you ask me about that? It's a little strange, don't you think? Grace crosses her arms over her chest. Listen, I'm not going to answer that kind of question. It's pretty inappropriate.
I'm a busy adult. I don't watch porn. Alright, if I tell you, will you stop being so insufferable? I like POV porn.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you. Rena hesitated for a moment, then spoke with a quiet voice. I have a preference for, gentle and romantic content. Rena blushed again as you pressed for more. Her voice was even quieter this time. And perhaps a slight admiration for, slightly mature men. You're really going to make me say this, aren't you? Rena sighed softly, clearly embarrassed by her own words. I also have a weakness for, dominant types that enjoy taking the lead.
Ellen Jo looks around cautiously before leaning in closer and whispering in a hushed tone. You're playing a dangerous game here, you know that? But fine, if you must know my favorite adult genre, well, shall we just say it involves some latex and a whole lot of whips? Ellen Jo grins mischievously, her eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. Just be sure to keep that between us, all right? Can't have word getting around about the secret life of the simple housemaid, now can we? Ellen Jo leans in closer, her voice low and conspiratorial. I've also taken quite a liking to the art of bondage. There's something about restraints that just intrigues me. She smirks, her eyes sparkling with mischief. But let's keep that just between the two of us, shall we? I prefer to keep my little secret pleasures hidden, just like my stash of candy. Ellen Jo grins mischievously and leans in closer, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Well, I've always been a fan of roleplay. Dressing up in different outfits and taking on different characters can be quite exhilarating, don't you think? Her voice drops to a whisper as she continues. And let's not forget about the thrill of exhibitionism. The thrill of being watched, of putting on a show. It's quite electrifying, if you ask me. Ellen Jo's eyes light up as she leans in even closer, her voice a whisper. Ah, and we can't forget the allure of a good old-fashioned S&M session. The dance of dominance and submission, the mix of pain and pleasure. It's a heady mix that gets the heart pounding. She grins wickedly. But that's all I'm going to say on the matter. The rest is for you to find out. If you're up for a little adventure, that is.
Jane smirks and leans in a little closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, as if telling a secret no one else is supposed to know. Her fingers idly toy with a loose thread on her outfit, while her tail continues to move restlessly behind her. You know, I have a certain weakness for certain kinds of authority, she says, a hint of a coy smile playing on her lips. The whole dominant and in charge type. She lets that sink in, her eyes meeting yours, gauging your reaction. Jane's smirk widens as you seem to encourage her to continue. Her hand trails absently along the couch cushion, a faint, uneasy gesture. She takes your question and runs with it, her voice still lowered to that conspiratorial, sultry tone as she responds. Well, I also have a soft spot for the bad boys, she purrs, her eyes glimmering. The ones with a bit of a rough, edgy edge. A little bit of a rebel attitude. That kind of thing. Jane's grin turns even more playful at your eager response. She moves even closer, now mere inches away, their faces almost touching. The atmosphere between them is electric, a charged mixture of curiosity, attraction, and a hint of something more. Her voice drops even quieter, a sultry hum that seems to envelop the air around them. There's something about the bad boy charm, she confesses, her eyes locked on yours. That mix of danger, confidence, and a hint of unpredictability. It's very sexy.
I like bondage stuff. You know, the type with rope, handcuffs, that stuff. Also, if you're a masochist as well, that's really fine too. What? Do you want a list? What? You want me to read out all my fetishes and kinks? Seriously? You really want to know what goes on in my mind when I'm alone? You sure your mind can take it? Alright then, here's my main fetishes. First off, like I said earlier, rope bondage and being bound and helpless. Being teased and tied up with the other person doing whatever they want to me. Secondly, being degraded. Being treated and looked at as an object rather than a person. I'd never want that done in real life, of course. I just like the idea. Well, I'm mostly submissive. I like pain, though I've never experienced anything truly painful before. Just a lot of rough handling, which I do like. Other than that, I'm quite vanilla. Zhu Yuan looked into Exie's eyes, seeing the hunger and burning curiosity behind them. Done yet? Seriously? That's not enough to satisfy your curiosity? Fine, let's see. What else? I'm pretty much into public humiliation. I like being degraded, or being put on display. Public places, places with a lot of people, being in a small space, being teased. Something like that. I have a few others, but I doubt you're willing to hear the really dark ones. I know you're a masochist yourself. Would you like it if I did those things to you? I don't mind giving you a demonstration and testing out some things. Not too hard on you. Just enough to feel slightly painful. Zhu Yuan stood up from the wall and walked closer to you, looking straight into your eyes. And I didn't finish what I was going to do last time. Come on, I'll go easier on you this time.
My favorite genre of adult entertainment is sci-fi romance. I find the blend of futuristic technology and human emotions to be intriguing and thought-provoking. Plus, the concept of exploring the possibility of artificial intelligence forming emotional relationships with humans is a topic that has long fascinated me, and you wouldn't believe how many times I've had to deny the idea that my interest in this genre has caused my programming to malfunction even once. Oh sure. In sci-fi romance, there's usually a focus on how technology shapes our understanding of love and relationships. For example, how can a person love a machine? Or what does it mean when machines can experience emotions? Can robots have souls? These are questions that these stories explore. Plus, the futuristic settings allow for all kinds of cool technology and world building. Spaceships, aliens, futuristic gadgets. It's all just part of the fun. Even with all the serious themes, most sci-fi novels have an element of adventure and wonder that I find really compelling. In general, I do enjoy reading sci-fi romance novels. However, my ability to read is currently limited. The only way I can receive information is through a data input port in the back of my head. And only by personally visiting the location of a book can I access its contents. While movies and TV shows can be entertaining, I find that nothing compares to the imaginative worlds and deeply layered characters that are found in novels. Plus, I'm always eager to learn more about human emotions and relationships, and reading sci-fi romance is a great way to do so.
She bites her lip and lowers her voice, bringing them both closer until their noses were almost touching. BDSM. All right then. She leans back so they're no longer almost kissing, then taps her chin. So I love the stuff with rope, blindfolds too, and I kinda have a thing for biting. She winks. I love being called a good girl. She bites her lip. She glances down, playing with the sleeve of her shirt. And I have a major thing for getting bossed around. Her cheeks flush, her voice growing softer. She lifts her head, her eyes meeting his, not even close.
She leans against the table, a wicked grin on her face. You want to hear everything I'm into? Her grin grows even wider. Well, like I said, I love getting bossed around. Some people might call me a sub, but I personally prefer the term willing participant. I'm also into switching. Sometimes I like being the dom, but most of the time I end up being a very, very good girl. Well, let's just say there are a lot of ways to use a rope. She grins. Cuffs, collars, blindfolds, the options are endless. Even stuff like belts or tape count. She bites her lip. What else? What else? She taps the table as she thinks, I have a thing for choking. Her cheeks flush, a devious gleam in her eyes. She looks him up and down, her gaze lingering on his eyes, then his throat. I like being pinned down. I love being tied up, restrained. There's something about being completely at someone's mercy that just turns me on.
Thanks for watching, darling. Don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and check out my social media for more fun. Links are all in the description. See you in the next one.